typewriters dreaming all through the night. A smiling sun hangs on a cardboard sky, where the future got lost but never learned to die. Unseen visions burning bright, Bradbury's ghost on SL tonight. Open the page, let the wonder ignite. Welcome to SL
Somewhere in a room crammed with rockets that never launch, clocks that run backward, and typewriters that dream, one man still dares to imagine what tomorrow forgot. You are about to enter the unseen visions of Ray Bradbury. Tonight, another lost wonder awakens. This is SL Tonight, Bradbury's Unseen Visions. Good evening, invaders of the absurd, and welcome to SL Tonight, where we surrender to the satirical conquest of Ray Bradbury's masterpiece, The Illustrated Man. I'm Felix Lebetsky, your host for Bradbury's Unseen Visions, The Illustrated Man's Hidden Tales, a series that strips away the familiar to reveal the raw, prophetic heart of this 1951 collection. Ray Bradbury, the dreamer who loved peace but feared consumerism, was 31 when he wrote these stories, typing in the UCLA library while Marguerite worked and her daughter slept. The concrete mixer came from his disdain for America's culture and culture's shallowness, a tale of Martians invading Earth only to be absorbed by Hollywood and ads. Written in 1950, it sprang from Bradbury's pulp love for Wells' War of the Worlds and Verdun, inspired by his frustrations in the 1950s consumerism, commercialism, and his father's tales of salesmen. Behind the scenes, Doubleday paid him $750 for the book, but Bradbury refused Hollywood cash to keep his visions pure. The story, often overlooked, is Bradbury at his most humorous, War turned to Welcome Party. It's a window into what drove him, the fear that culture conquers more than armies, a theme that echoed his 1960s support for civil rights, seeing assimilation as a double-edged sword. Let's march to this bizarre surrender. He listened to the dry grass rustle of the old witches' voices beneath his open window. Edel the coward, Edel the refuser, Edel who will not wage the glorious war of Mars against Earth. Speak on, witches, he cried. The voices dropped to a murmur like that of water in the long canals under the Martian sky. Edel, the father of a son who must grow up in the shadow of this horrid knowledge, said the old wrinkled women. They knocked their sly-eyed heads gently together. Shame, shame! His wife was crying on the other side of the room. Her tears were as rain, numerous and cool on the tiles. Oh, Etil, how can you think this way? Etil laid aside his metal book, which at his beckoning had been singing him a story all morning from its thin golden-wired frame. I've tried to explain. This is a foolish thing. Mars invading Earth will be destroyed, utterly. Outside a banging, crashing boom, a surge of brass, a drum, a cry, marching feet, pennants, and songs. Through the stone sheets the army, fire weapons to shoulder, stamped. Children skipped after. Old women waved dirty flags. I shall remain on Mars and read a book, said Etil. A blunt knock on the door. Tilla answered. Father-in-law stormed in. What is this I hear about my son-in-law? A traitor? Yes, father. You're not fighting in the Martian army? No, father. Gods! The old father turned very red. A plague on your name. You'll be shot. Shoot me then, and have it over. Who ever heard of a Martian not invading? Who? Nobody. It is, I admit, quite incredible. Incredible. Incredible! Husked the voices under the window. Father, can't you reason with him? Demanded Tilla. Reason with a dung heap, cried father, eyes blazing. He came and stood over Etil. Bands playing, a fine day, women weeping, children jumping, everything right, men marching bravely, and you sit here. Oh, shame! 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 Sobbed the faraway voices in the hedge. Get the devil out of my house with your inane chatter, said Etil, exploding. Take your medals and your drums and run. He shoved father-in-law past the screaming wife, only to have the door thrown wide at this moment as a military detail entered. A voice shouted, Etil Veer? Yes? You're under arrest. Goodbye, my dear wife. I'm off to the wars with these fools, shouted Etil, dragged through the door by the men in the bronze mesh. Goodbye, goodbye, said the town witches, fading away. The cell was neat and clean. Without a book, Etil was nervous. He gripped the bars and watched the rocket shoot up in the night air. The stars were cold and numerous. They seemed to scatter when every rocket blasted up among them. Fools, whispered Etil. Fools. Cell door opened. One man with a kind of vehicle entered, full of books, books here, there, everywhere in the chambers of the vehicle. Behind him, the military assigner loomed. Etil Veer, we want to know why you had these illegal Earth books in your house. These copies of wonder stories, scientific tales, fantastic stories. Explain. The man gripped Etil's wrist. Etil shook him free. If you're gonna shoot me, shoot me. That's literature from Earth. It's the very reason why I won't try to invade them. It's the reason why your invasion will fail. How so? And Signar scowled and turned to the yellowed magazines. Pick any copy, said Etil. Any one at all. 9 out of 10 stories in the years 1929, 30, 50. Earth calendar. Have every Martian invasion successfully invading Earth. Ah, Signar smiled, nodded. And then, he said, Etil, failing. That's treason, owning such literature. So be it, if you wish, but let me draw a few conclusions. Invariably, each invasion is thwarted by a young man, usually lean, usually Irish, usually alone, named Mick or Rick or Jick or Bannon, who destroys the Martians. You don't believe that. No, I don't believe Earthmen can actually do that, no. But they have a background, understand, a signor of generations of children reading just such fiction, absorbing it. They have nothing but a literature and invasions successfully thwarted. Can you say the same for Martian literature? Well, no. I guess not. You know, no, not. We never wrote stories of such fantastic nature. Now we rebel, we attack, and we shall die. I don't see your reasoning on that. Where does this tie in with the magazine stories? Morale. A big thing. The Earthmen know they can't fail. It is in them like blood beating in their veins. They cannot fail. They will repel each invasion no matter how well organized. Their youth of reading just such fiction as this has given them a faith we cannot equal. We Martians, we are uncertain. We know that we might fail. Our morale is low, in spite of the banged drums and tooted horns. I won't listen to this treason, cried the Assignor. This fiction will be burned, as you will be within the next 10 minutes. You have a choice, Etel Ver. Join the Legion of War or burn. If it is a choice of death, I choose to burn. Men! He was hustled out into the courtyard. There he saw his carefully hoarded reading matter set to the torch. A special pit was prepared with oil 5 feet deep in it. This was a great thunder, was set afire. In a minute, he would be pushed. On the far side of the courtyard, in shadow, he noticed the solemn figure of his son standing alone, his great yellow eyes luminous with sorrow and fear. He did not put out his hand or speak, but only looked at his father like some dying animal, a wordless animal seeking rescue. Etil looked at the flaming pit. He felt the rough hand seizing him, strip him, push him forward to the hot perimeter of death. Only then did Etil swallow and cry out, "Wait!" A Signor's face, bright with orange fire, pushed forward in the trembling air. What is it? I will join the Legion of War, replied Etil. Good, release him. The hands fell away. As he turned, he saw his son standing far across the courtyard, waiting. His son was not smiling, only waiting. In the sky, a bronze rocket leaped across the stars, ablaze. "And now we bid goodbye to these stalwart warriors," said the signal. The band thumped, and the wind blew a fine sweet rain of tears gently upon the sweating army. The children cavorted. In the chaos, Etel saw his wife weeping with pride, his son solemn and silent at her side. They marched into the ship, everybody laughing and brave. They buckled themselves into their spider webs. All through the tenth ship, the spider webs were filled with lounging, lazy men. They chewed on bits of food and waited. The great lid slammed shut. A valve hissed. "Off to Earth and destruction," whispered Etel. "What?" asked somebody. "Off to glorious victory," said Etel, grimacing. The rocket jumped. Space, thought Etel. Here we are, banging across black inks and pink lights of space in a brass kettle. Here we are, a celebratory rocket heaved out to fill the Earthmen's eyes with fear flames as they look up to the sky. What is it like being far, far away from your home, your wife, your child, here and now? He tried to analyze his trembling. It was like tying your most secret, inward, working organs to Mars and then jumping out a million miles. Your heart was still on Mars, pumping, glowing. Your brain was still on Mars, thinking, cremulating like an abandoned torch. Your stomach was still on Mars, somnolent, trying to digest the final dinner. Your lungs were still in the cool, blue, wine air of Mars, a soft folded bellows screaming for release, one part of you longing for the rest. For here you were, a messless, cogless automaton, a body upon which officials had performed clinical autopsy and left all of you that counted back upon the empty seas and strewn over the darkened hills. Here you were, bottle empty, fireless, chill, with only your hands to give death to Earthmen. A pair of hands is all you are now, he thought in cold remoteness. Here you lie in the tremendous web. Others are about you, but they are whole, whole hearts and bodies. But all you that lives is back there, walking the desolate seas and evening winds. This thing here, this cold clay thing, is already dead. Attack stations! Attack stations! Attack! Ready, ready, ready! Up! Out of the webs, quick! Etel moved. Somewhere before him his two cold hands moved. How swift it has all been, he thought. A year ago, one Earth rocket reached Mars. Our scientists, with their incredible telepathic ability, copied it. Our workers, with their incredible plants, reproduced it a hundredfold. No other Earth ship has reached Mars since then, and yet we know their language perfectly, all of us. We know their culture, their logic, and we shall pay the price of our brilliance. Guns at the ready! Right! Sights! Reading by miles! 10,000! Attack! A humming silence. A silence of insects throbbing on the walls of the rocket. The insects singing at tiny bobbins and levers and whirls of wheels. Silence of waiting men. Silence of glands emitting the slow, steady pulse of sweat under arm, on brow, under staring pale eyes. Wait! Ready! Etel hung on to his sanity with his fingernails, hung hard and long. Silence! 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 Waiting. Dee! 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 What's that? Earth radio. Cut them in. They're trying to reach us. Call us. Cut them in. Dee! Dee! Here they are. Listen. Calling Martian invasion fleet. Listening silence. The insect hum, pulling back to let the sharp Earth voice crack in upon the room of waiting men. This is Earth calling. This is William Summers, President of the Association of United American Producers. Etel held tight to his station, bent forward, eyes shut. Welcome to Earth. What? And then the rocket roared. What did he say? Yes, welcome to Earth. It's a trick. Etel shivered, opened his eyes to stare in bewilderment at the unseen voice from the ceiling source. Welcome, welcome to green industrial Earth, declared the friendly voice. With open arms we welcome you to turn a bloody invasion into time of friendships that will last through all time. A trick! Hush, listen. Many years ago, we of Earth renounced war, destroyed our atom bombs. Now, unprepared as we are, there is nothing for us but to welcome you. The planet is yours. We ask only mercy from you, good and merciful invaders. It can't be true, a voice whispered. It must be a trick. Land and be welcomed, all of you, said Mr. William Summers of Earth. Land anywhere, Earth is yours. We are all brothers. Etel began to laugh. Everyone in the room turned to see him. The other Martians blinked. He's gone mad! He did not stop laughing until they hit him. The tiny fat man in the center of the hot rocket tarmac at Greentown, California, jerked out a clean white handkerchief and touched it to his wet brow. He squinted blindly from the fresh plank platform at the 50,000 people restrained behind a fence of policemen, arm to arm. Everybody looked at the sky. There they are! I gasped. No, just seagulls, the disappointed grumbled. I'm beginning to think it would have been better to declare war on them, whispered the mayor. Then we could all go home. Shh, said his wife. There, the crowd roared. Out of the sun came the Martian rockets. Everybody ready? The mayor glanced nervously about. Yes, sir, said Miss California in 1965. Yes, said Miss America 1940, who had come rushing up at the last minute as a substitute for Miss America 1966, who was ill at home. Yes, sirree, said Mr. Biggest Grapefruit in San Fernando Valley 1956 eagerly. Ready, band? The band poised its brass like so many guns. Ready! Rockets landed. Go! The band played California Here I Come 10 times. From noon until 1 o'clock, the mayor made a speech, shaking his hands in the direction of the silent, apprehensive rockets. At 1:15, the seals of the rockets opened. The band played Oh, You Golden State 3 times. Etill and 50 other Martians leaped out, guns at the ready. The mayor ran forward with the key to Earth in his hands. The band played Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and a full chorus of singers imported from one beat sang different words to it. Something about Martians are coming to town. Seeing no weapons about, the Martians relaxed. They kept their guns out. From 1:30 until 2:15, the mayor made the same speech over for the benefit of the Martians. At 2:30, Miss America 1940 volunteered to kiss all the Martians if they lined up. At 2:30 and 10 seconds, the band played How Do You Do, Everybody to cover up the confusion caused by Miss America's suggestion. At 2:35, Mr. Biggest Grapefruit presented the Martians with a 2-ton truck full of grapefruit. At 2:37, the mayor gave them all free passes to the elite and majestic theaters, combining this gesture with another speech which lasted until after 3. The band played and the 50,000 people sang, They are all jolly good fellows. It was over at 4 o'clock. Etill sat down in the shadow of the rocket, 2 of his fellows with him. So this is Earth. I said kill the filthy rats, said one Martian. I don't trust them. They're sneaky. What's their motive for treating us this way? He held up a box of something that rustled. What's the stuff they gave me? A sample, they said. He read the label. Blix, the new sudsy soap. The crowd had drifted about, was mingling with Martians like a carnival throng. Everywhere was the buzzing murmur of people fingering the rockets, asking questions. Etill was cold. He was beginning to tremble even more now. Don't you feel it? He whispered. The tenseness, the evilness of it all. Something's going to happen to us. They have some plan, something subtle and horrible. They're going to do something to us, I know. I said kill every one of them. How can you kill people who call you pal and buddy? Asked another Martian. Etill shook his head. They're sincere, and yet I feel as if we were in a big acid vat melting away. I'm frightened. He put his mind out to touch among the crowd. Yes, they're really friendly. Hail fellows, well met, one of their terms. One huge mass of common men, loving dogs and cats and Martians equally. And yet, the band played Roll Out the Barrel. Free beer was being distributed through the courtesy of Hagenbeck Beer, Fresno, California. The sickness came. The men poured out fountains of slush from their mouths. The sound of sickness filled the land. Gagging, Etill sat beneath a sycamore tree. A horrible plot, he groaned, holding his stomach. What did you eat? A signor stood over him. Something that they call popcorn, groaned Etill. And some sort of long meat on a bun, and some yellow liquid in an iced vat, and some sort of fish, and something called pastrami, sighed Etill, eyelids flittering. The moans of the Martian invaders sounded all about. Kill the plotting snakes, somebody cried weakly. Hold on, said the signor. It's merely hospitality. They overdid it. 100 feet now, men. Into the town. We got to place small garrisons of men about to make sure all is well. Other ships are landing in other cities. We have our job to do here. Men gained their feet and stood stupidly about. Forward, march. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The white stores of the little town lay dreaming in shimmering heat. Heat emanated from everything: poles, concrete, metal, awnings, roofs, tar paper, everything. The sound of Martian feet sounded on the asphalt. "Careful, men," whispered the Signor. They walked past the beauty shop. From inside, a furtive giggle. "Look!" A coppery head bobbed and vanished like a doll in the window. A blue eye glinted and winked at a keyhole. "It's a plot," whispered Ethel. "A plot, I tell you." The odors of perfume were fanned out on the summer air by the whirling vents of the grottos, where the women hid like undersea creatures, under electric cones, their hair curled into wild whorls and peaks, their eyes shrewd and glassy, animal and sly, their mouths painted in neon red. Fans were whirring, the perfumed wind issuing upon the stillness, moving among green trees, creeping among the amazed Martians. "For God's sake!" screamed Etil, his nerves suddenly breaking loose. "Let's get in our rockets! Go home! They'll get us! Those horrible things in there! See 'em? Those evil undersea things! Those women in their cool little caverns of artificial rock!" "Shut up! Look at 'em in there," he thought, "drifting their dresses like cool green gills over their pillar legs!" He shouted. "Someone shut his mouth! They'll rush out on us, hurling chocolate boxes and copies of Klieg Glove and Holly Pickature, and shrieking with their red, greasy mouths, inundate us with banality, destroy our sensibilities. Look at them, being electrocuted by devices, their voices like hums and chants and murmurs. Do you dare go in there?" "Why not?" asked the other Martians. "They'll fry you, bleach you, change you, crack you, flake you away until you're nothing but a husband, a working man, the one with the money you pay so they can sit in here devouring their evil chocolates. Do you think you can control them?" "Yes, by the gods!" From a distance a voice drifted, a high and shrill voice, a woman's voice saying, "Ain't that the middle one in there cute?" "The Martians ain't so bad after all. Gee, they're just men," said another, fading. "Hey there, yoo-hoo! Martians, hey!" Yelling, Etel ran. He sat in the park and trembled steadily. He remembered what he'd seen. Looking up at the dark night sky, he felt so far from home, so deserted. Even now, as he sat among the still trees, in the distance he could see Martian warriors walking the streets with the Earth women, vanishing into the phantom darknesses of the little emotion palaces to hear the ghastly sounds of white things moving on gray screens, with little frizz-haired women beside them, wads of gelatinous gum working in their jaws, other wads under the seats, hardening with the fossil imprints of the women's tiny cat teeth forever embedded therein. The cave of winds, the cinema. "Hello." He jerked his head in terror. The woman sat on the bench beside him, chewing gum lazily. "Don't run off. I don't bite," she said. "Oh," he said. "Like to go to the pictures?" she said. "No." "Oh, come on. Everybody else is." "No. Is that all you do in this world?" "All? Ain't that enough?" His blue eyes widened suspiciously. "What do you want me to do? Sit at home and read a book? Ha ha, that's rich." Ezel stared at her a moment before asking a question. "Do you do anything else?" he asked. "Ride in cars. You got a car? You ought to get a new big convertible Podler 6. Gee, they're fancy. Any man with a Podler 6 can go out with any gal, you bet," he said, blinking at him. "I bet you got all kinds of money. You come from Mars and all. And I bet if you really wanted, you could go to get a Podler 6 and travel everywhere. To the show, maybe? What's wrong with that?" "Nothing. Nothing." "You know what you talk like, mister?" she said. "A communist. Yes, sir, that's the kind of talk nobody stands for, by gosh. Nothing wrong with our little old system. We was good enough to let you Martians invade, and we never raised even a bitty figure, did we?" "That's what I've been trying to understand," said Detail. "Why did you let us?" "'Cause we're big-hearted, mister. That's why. Just remember that. Big-hearted." He walked off to look for someone else. Gathering courage to himself, Ito began to write a letter to his wife, moving the pen carefully over the paper on his knee. "Dear Tilla." But again he was interrupted. A small little girl of an old woman, with a pale, round, wrinkled little face, shook her tambourine in front of his nose, forcing him to glance up. "Brother!" she cried, eyes blazing. "How have you been saved?" "Am I in danger?" Ito dropped his pen, jumping. "Terrible danger!" she wailed, clanking her tambourine, gazing at the sky. "You need to be saved, brother, in the worst way." "I'm inclined to agree," he said, trembling. We saved lots already today. I saved 3 myself. You Mars people. Ain't that nice? She grinned at him. I guess so. She was acutely suspicious. She leaned forward with a secret whisper. Brother? He wanted to know. You been baptized? I don't know, he whispered back. You don't know? She cried, flinging up her hand and tambourine. Is it like being shot? He asked. Brother, he said, you are in a bad and sinful condition. I blame it on your ignorant bringing up. But those schools on Mars are terrible. Don't teach you no truth at all. Just a pack of made-up lies, brother. You gotta be baptized if you want to be happy. Will it make me happy even in this world here? He said. Don't ask for anything on your platter, she said. Be satisfied with a wrinkled pea, for there's another world we're all going to that's better than this one. I know that world, he said. It's peaceful, she said. Yes. There's quiet, she said. Yes. There's milk and honey flowing. Why, yes, he said. And everybody's laughing. I can see it now, he said. A better world, she said. Far better, he said. Yes, Mars is a great planet. Mister, she said, tightening it up and almost swinging the tambourine in his face, you been joking with me? Why, no. He was embarrassed and bewildered. I thought you were talking about, not about mean old nasty Mars. I tell you, mister, it's your type that's going to boil for years and suffer and break out in black pimples and be tortured. Must admit, Earth isn't very nice. You described it beautifully. Mister, you're funning me again, she cried angrily. No, no, please, I plead ignorance. Well, she said, you're a heathen, and heathens are improper. Here's a paper. Come to this address tomorrow night and be baptized and be happy. We shouts and we stomps and we talks in voices. So if you want to hear our old cornet, all brass band, you come, won't you now? I'll try, he said hesitantly. Down the street she went, patting her tambourine, singing at the top of her voice. Happy I am, I'm always happy. Daisy Tiller returned to his letter. Dear Tila, I think that in my naivety I imagined that the Earthmen would have to counterattack with guns and bombs. No, no, I was sadly wrong. There's no Rick or Mick or Jick or Bannon. Those clever fellows who save worlds. No. They're blonde robots with pink rubber bodies, real but somehow unreal, alive but somehow automatic in all responses, living in caves all of their lives. Their derrieres are incredible in girth. Their eyes are fixed and motionless from an endless time of staring at picture screens. The only muscles they have occur in their jaws from their ceaseless chewing of gum. And it is not only these, my dear Attila, but the entire civilization in which we have been dropped like a shovelful of seeds in a large concrete mixer. Nothing of us will survive. We will be killed, not by the gun, but by glad hand. We will be destroyed, not by the rocket, but by the automobile. Somebody screamed, a crash, another crash, silence. Attila leaped up from his letter. Outside on the street, 2 cars had crashed, one full of Martians, another with Earthmen. Attila returned to his letter. Dear, dear Tilla, a few statistics if you will allow. 45,000 people killed every year on this continent of America, made into jelly right in the can, as it were, in the automobiles. Red blood jelly with white marrow bones like sudden thoughts, ridiculous horror thoughts, transfixed in immutable jelly. The cars roll up tight in neat sardine rolls, all sauce, all silent. Blood manure for green, buzzing summer flies all over the highways. Faces made in a howling mess for sudden stops. Halloween is one of their holidays. I think they worship the automobile on that night. Something to do with death, anyway. You look out your window and see 2 people lying on top of each other in friendly fashion who, a moment ago, had never met before. Dead. I first see our army, mashed, diseased, trapped in cinemas by witches and gum. Sometime in the next day, I shall try to escape back to Mars before it is too late. Somewhere on Earth tonight, my fellow, there's a man with a lever, which, when he pulls it, will save the world. The man is now unemployed. The switch gathers dust. He himself plays pinnacle. The women of this evil planet are drowning us in a tide of banal sentimentality. Misplaced romance, and one last fling before the makers of glycerin boil them down for usage. Good night, Tilla. Wish me well, for I shall probably die trying to escape. My love to our child. Weeping silently, he folded the letter and reminded himself to mail it later at the rocket post. He left the park. What was there to do? Escape? But how? Return to the post late tonight, steal one of the rockets alone, go back to Mars? Would it be possible? He shook his head. He was much too confused. All that he really knew was that if he stayed here, he would soon be the property of a lot of things that buzzed and snorted and hissed, that gave off fumes or stenches. In 6 months, he'd be the owner of a large pink trained ulcer, a blood pressure of algebraic dimensions, a myopia this side of blindness, and nightmares as deep as oceans and infested with improbable lengths of dream intestines through which he must violently force his way each night. No, no. He looked at the haunted faces of the Earthmen drifting violently along the mechanical death boxes. Soon, yes, very soon, they would invent an auto with six silver handles on it. Hey, hey there! An auto horn. A large long hearse of a car, black and ominous, pulled to the curb. A man leaned out. You a Martian? Yes. Just the man I gotta see. Hop in quick. Chance of a lifetime. Hop in. Take you to a real nice joint where we can talk. Come on, don't stand there. As if hypnotized, Ito opened the door of the car and got in. They drove off. What'll it be, Evie? How about a Manhattan? Two Manhattans. Waiter, okay, Evie. This is my treat. This is on me in big studios. Don't even touch your wallet. Pleased to meet you, Evie. My name's R.R. Van Plank. Maybe you heard of me. No? Well, shake anyhow. Etel felt his hand massaged and dropped. They were in a dark hole with music and waiters drifting about. Two drinks were set down, and it all happened so swiftly. Now Van Plank, hands crossed on his chest, was surveying his Martian discovery. What I want for you, Evie, is this. It's the most magnanimous idea I ever got in my life. I don't know how it came to me. Just in a flash, I was sitting home tonight and I thought to myself, my God, what a picture it would make. Invasion of Earth by Mars. So what do I got to do? I gotta find an advisor for the film. So I climbed in my car and I found you. And here we are. Drink up. Here's to your health and our future. Skull! But, said Etel, now I know you'll want money, but we got plenty of that. Besides, I got a little black book full of peaches I can lend you. I don't like most of your earth fruit, and you're a card, Mac, really. Well, here's how I get the picture in my mind. Listen. He leaned forward excitedly. We got a flash scene of the Martians at a big powwow, drumming drums, getting stewed on Mars. In the background are huge silver cities, but that's not the way Martian cities are. We gotta have color, kid. Color. Let your pappy fix this. Anyway, there are all these Martians doing a dance around the fire. We don't dance around fire. In this film, you got a fire and you dance, declared Van Plank, eyes shut, proud of his uncertainty. He nodded, dreaming it over on his tongue. Then we got a beautiful Martian woman, tall and blonde. Martian women are dark. Look, I don't see how we're going to be happy, Evie. By the way, son, you ought to change your name. What was it again? Etel. That's a woman's name. I'll give you a better one. Call you Joe. Okay? Joe. As I was saying, our Martian women are going to be blonde. Because, see, just because. Or else your papa won't be happy. You got any suggestions? I thought that. And another thing, we gotta have a scene, very tearful, where the Martian woman saves the whole ship of Martian men from dying when a meteor or something hits the ship. That'll make a wackaroo of a scene. You know, I'm glad I found you, Joe. You're gonna have a good deal with us, I'll tell you. Ito reached out and held the man's right wrist tight. Just a minute, there's something I want to ask you. Sure, Joe, shoot. Why are you being so nice to us? An invaded planet, you welcome us. Everybody, like long lost children. Why? They sure growing green on Mars, don't they? You're a naive type guy. I can see from way over here. Mac, look at it this way. We're all little people, ain't we? He waved a small tanned hand and garnished with emeralds. We're all common as dirt, ain't we? Well, here on Earth, we're proud of that. This is the century of the common man, Bill, and we're proud we're small. Billy, we're looking at a planet full of saurians. Yes, sir. A great big fat family of friendly saurians. Everyone loving everybody. We understand you, Martians. Joe, and we know why you invade Earth. We know how lonely you were up on that cold planet Mars, how you envied us in our cities. Our civilization is much older than yours. Please, Joe, you make me unhappy when you interrupt. Let me finish my theory and then you can talk all you want. As I was saying, you'd be lonely up there, and you down here you come to our cities and our women and all, and we'll welcome you in because you're our brothers, common men like all of us. And then, as a sign of a side incident, Roscoe, there's a certain little small profit to be made from this invasion. I mean, for instance, this picture I planned, which will net us need $1 billion, I bet. Next week, we start putting out a special Martian doll at $30 a throw. Think of the millions there. I got a contract to make out a Martian game to sell for $5. That's all sort of angles. I see, said Util, drawing back. And then, of course, there's that whole nice new market. Think of all the depilatories and gum and shoe shine we can sell to you Martians. Wait, another question. Shoot, what's your first name? What's the RR stand for? Richard Robert. Util looked at the ceiling. Do they sometimes, perhaps on occasion, once in a while by accident, call you Rick? How'd you guess, Mac? Rick, sure. Ito sighed and began to laugh and laugh. He put out his hand. So you're Rick. Rick, so you're Rick. What's the joke, laughing boy? Let's pop it in. You wouldn't understand. A private joke. Tears ran down his cheeks and into his open mouth. He pounded the table again and again. So you're Rick. Oh, how different, how funny. No bulging muscles, no lean jaw, no gun. Only a wallet full of money and an emerald ring and a big middle. Hey, watch the language. I may not be no Apollo, but shake hands, Rick. I wanted to meet you. You're the man who will conquer Mars with cocktail shakers and foot arches and poker chips and riding crops and leather boots and checker caps and rum Collinses. I'm only a humble businessman, said Van Plank, eyes slyly down. I do my work and I take my humble little piece of money pie. But as I was saying, Mort, I've been thinking of the market of Mars for Uncle Wiggily games and Dick Tracy comics. All new. The big wide field never even heard of cartoons, right? Right? So we just toss a great big bunch of stuff on the Martians' heads. They fight for it, kid. Fight. Who wouldn't? For perfumes and Paris dresses and Oshkosh overalls, eh? And nice new shoes. We don't wear shoes. What have I got here? R.R. asked of the ceiling. A planet full of Okies? Look, Joe, we'll take care of that. We'll shame everybody into wearing shoes. Then we'll sell them the polish. Oh. He slapped Ito's arm. Is it a deal? Will you be technical director on my film? You'll get 200 a week to start, 500 top. What do you say? I'm sick, said Ito. He had drunk the Manhattan and was now turning blue. Say, I'm sorry, I didn't know it would do that to you. Let's get some fresh air. In the open air, Etel felt better. He swayed. So that's why Earth took us in? Sure, son. Anytime an Earthman could turn an honest dollar, watch him steam. The customer's always right. No hard feelings. Here's my card. Be at the studio in Hollywood tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. They'll show you your office. I'll arrive at 11 and see you then. Be sure you get there at 9 o'clock. It's a strict rule. Why? Gallagher, you're a queer oyster, but I love you. Good night. Happy invasion. Car drove off. Etel blinked after it, incredulous. Then, rubbing his brow with the palm of his hand, he walked slowly down along the street towards the rocket port. Well, what are you going to do? He asked himself aloud. The rockets lay gleaming in the moonlight, silent. From the city, the sounds of distant revelry. In the medical compound, an extreme case of nervous breakdown was being tended to. A young Martian who, by his screams, had seen too much, drunk too much, heard too many songs in the little red and yellow boxes in the drinking places, and had been chased around in numerous tables by large elephant-like women. He kept murmuring, "Can't breathe, crushed, trapped." The sobbing faded. Ezel came out of the shadows and moved on across the wide avenue towards the ships. Far over he could see the guards lying about drunkenly. He listened. From the vast city came the faint sounds of cars and music and sirens, and he imagined other sounds too. An insidious whir of malt machines stirring malts to fatten the warriors and make them lazy and forgetful. The narcotic voices of the cinema caverns lulling and lulling the Martians fast, fast into slumber through which all their remaining lives they would sleepwalk. A year from now, how many Martians dead of cirrhosis of the liver, bad kidneys, high blood pressure, suicide? He stood in the middle of the empty avenue. 2 blocks away, a car was rushing toward him. He had a choice: stay here, take the studio job, report for work each morning as an advisor on a picture, and in time come to agree with the producer that yes, indeed, there were massacres on Mars. Yes, the women were tall and blonde. Yes, there were tribal dances and sacrifices. Yes, yes, yes. Or he could walk over and get into a rocket ship and alone return to Mars. But what about next year? He said. The Blue Canal nightclub brought to Mars. The ancient city gambling casino built right inside. Yes, right inside a real Martian ancient city. Neons, racing forums blowing in the old cities, picnic lunches in the ancestral graveyards, all of it, all of it. But not quite yet. In a few days he could be home. Tilla would be waiting with her son, and then for the last few years of gentle life, he might sit with his wife in the blowing weather on the edge of the canal reading his good, gentle books, sipping a rare and light wine, talking and living out their short time until a neon bewilderment fell from the sky. Then perhaps he and Tilla might move into the Blue Mountains and hide for another year or two until the tourists came to snap their cameras and say how quaint things were. He knew just what he would say to Tilla. War is a bad thing, peace can be a living horror. He stood in the middle of a wide avenue. Turning, it was with no surprise that he saw a car bearing down upon him, a car full of screaming children. These boys and girls, none older than 16, were swerving and ricocheting their open-top car down the avenue. He saw them point at him and yell. He heard the motor roar louder. The car sped forward at 60 miles an hour. He began to run. Yes, yes, he thought tiredly, with the car upon him. How strange, how sad. It sounds so much like a concrete mixer. That was the concrete mixer, the story that mixes from Ray Bradbury's contempt for consumerism. In 1950, Bradbury was 30, living in Venice, California, typing while Marguerite worked. The Korean War starting as 1950 ads flooded home. He lampoons his career. Pulp invasions turned satirical, his pulp roots maturing into critiques of culture. Writing this in 1950, he drew from Wells and his carnival love for spectacle, aiming to show how entertainment conquers. Behind the scene, Doubleday paid him $750 for the book, a fortune then, but Bradbury refused Hollywood cash to keep his vision pure. It's a window into what drove him, the fear that culture's concrete mixer grinds us down, a theme that deepened with civil rights struggles in the 1960s. Bradbury's stories of assimilation paralleled the movement's fight against forced conformity. Ray Bradbury, the visionary behind the concrete mixer, turned invasion into a commercial. This story asks, who really conquers whom? Join us next time for SL Tonight as we keep unearthing Bradbury's unseen visions. Like, subscribe, and good night.
The night was tattooed skin, and every story bled. We stood in the African veldt where lions fed on some bleach bone. Heard the children call us home while nursery walls burned alone. Flew the silver rocket fire to a Venus drowned in endless rain. Watch the sun come out 1 hour, then never shine again. 0 hour came at 7. The invasion, no one heard. Marionettes, it took the parents while the kids never said a word. On Mars, the highways rolled like rivers under crimson dust. The last Earth rocket left us ghost in a world that turned to rust. These are the illustrated man's tales, ink that moves when the moonlight fails. From kaleidoscope eyes to the long cold years, every tattoo is a memory. Every memory stars. The fox in the forest ran from tomorrow back to yesterday's scars. The other foot turned the tables when Mars got its revenge. Black faces, white rage, history bent but never cleansed. The visitor breathed blue life, then sold it for a ship. Exiles wept for banned books while Earth burned censorship. And in the end, the illustrated man looked down at his own chest, saw the prologue become epilogue. The final tattoo was dead. These were the illustrated man's tales, living ink that screams and never pales. From the belt to Venus, Mars, to the million-year town, every story we live is still moving now. Look close. The pictures are still moving.